What's up everyone, my name is Mike and welcome to another GameCast Rewind. Today I'll be taking a look at Kirby's Dream Land 3 for Super Nintendo. Enjoy! Before this review, I never played Kirby's Dream Land 3, nobody talks about it, and I never hear about it. Developed by HAL Laboratory and published by Nintendo, Kirby's Dream Land 3 was released for the Super Nintendo in November 1997. This is the fifth mainline game in the Kirby series and expands upon the Dream Land formula established in the first two games. This time around, Planet Popstar is covered in darkness, so Kirby and his buddy Gooey set out to save the planet and their friends. Jeremy and I teamed up for cooperative play, thanks to the game's easy drop-in, drop-out style. So let's take a look at Kirby's Dream Land 3 and see what it's all about. At any time during gameplay, the second player can press a button so Gooey appears at the cost of one of Kirby's health bars. Although if Kirby is at his last hit, no health is drained when Gooey spawns. Kirby can inhale and swallow Gooey at any time, which basically kills him, but the second player can come back at any time. Kirby is the only character with lives, so if Gooey dies, there's no real punishment. Both characters have their own set of health bars, and to restore health, you need to eat the health potions or Maxim tomatoes. If either character eats a Maxim tomato, all health bars are restored for both characters. Both characters can run, sprint, duck, slide, jump, fly. Kirby inhales things, and Gooey uses his tongue. You can inhale an enemy and spit them out as a projectile, or simply swallow them. Just like previous games, swallowing specific enemies grants you copy abilities, like burning, cleaning, cutter, ice, needle, parasol, spark, and stone. You can drop an ability at any time, like if you want to acquire another, but they can also get knocked out of you if you take enough damage. While there may not be as many abilities as seen in Kirby Superstar, for example, there's several animal friends you can team up with, and each one has their own variation of each ability. Throughout the stages are doors that lead to rooms containing animal friends, each with their own movesets. Only one character can ride or team up with an animal friend, but doing so will usually grant you access to specific areas. Rick the hamster cannot fly, will not slide on ice, can jump only once, and can climb walls. Coo the owl can fly quickly even against strong winds and allows Kirby to easily inhale in midair. Kine the fish can swim fast underwater and allows Kirby to inhale underwater, something he cannot normally do. Nago the cat can stomp on enemies and triple jump. Pitch the bird is probably the most useless. He flies and that's basically it. Choo Choo the octopus can float in midair and cling onto ceilings. Teaming up with animal friends is usually always a requirement, as is having specific abilities in combination with the friends. Just like when Kirby or Gooey acquire abilities, the abilities expand the animal friends' movesets. For example, if you have the burning ability, Rick can breathe fire. If you have the ice ability, Coo can shoot icicles. If you have the needle ability, Nago can shoot spikes. Some abilities are more offensive, others help you navigate more efficiently. Kirby's Dream Land 3 is a platformer at heart. Each level has its own theme going on, which does keep the game interesting as you progress. You navigate through the stages, killing enemies, copying abilities, and walking through doors. Some stages auto-scroll, you may have to fight a mini-boss here and there, and scattered throughout the stages are little stars you can collect. Collect enough of them and you earn an extra life. Sometimes you'll come across items like the 1-Up, which grants you an extra life, and invincibility candy, which makes you temporarily invincible. At the end of every stage is a mini-game where you need to jump and try to land on top of one of the items to acquire them, like stars, 1-Ups, and health items. The game starts out easy enough, but becomes increasingly more challenging as you progress, sometimes to the point of frustration, mainly due to the puzzles. Every stage contains a heart star, and to acquire it you need to meet specific requirements. Some are easy to get, others are just tedious. The game consists of a set of specific puzzles, and as you progress you'll encounter different variations of each puzzle. For example, one stage requires you not to step on flowers, but later you'll have to freeze them, clean them, even step on all of them. Some stages have a guessing minigame where you have to choose the correct answer 3 times in a row, like the correct color, how many of each color, and one stage has you listening to sounds and choosing the correct one. These just become frustrating cases of trial and error, and failing once means no heart star. Some puzzles require you to team up with an animal friend or even navigate through a stage in a very specific way, which can be long and tedious, especially if it's your first run through the game. Some stages contain direct references to other Nintendo titles. For instance, one puzzle has you collecting parts of Rob the Robot so you can put them together. Another has you killing Metroids with the ice ability to help out Samus Aran. Throughout the stages are various types of enemies and even mini-bosses. Classic Kirby enemies like Bouncy, Waddle Dee, and Waddle Doo make a return among others. Some enemies fly, others may fire projectiles. New enemies introduced here include Gaben, who throws bones, Mapu, who jumps out of clouds, and Money, who just swims around and gets in your way. You can actually hit enemies from underneath with your character's head, which does light damage. Now there's 7 bosses total, and some can be quite challenging. Classic bosses like Wispy Woods and King Dedede make a return. Most of the bosses have multiple phases, and the battles can take a while if you don't have abilities abilities. In that case, you'll need to inhale one of the boss's projectiles and spit them at the boss to do damage. In other Kirby games, spitting out boss projectiles normally does more damage, but in Dreamland 3 you're better off having an ability since you'll do damage faster. It's also worth mentioning that Kirby's Dreamland 3 is a much slower paced Kirby game than, say, Kirby Superstar. Trying to speed through the stages will often result in you taking damage, so taking your time and watching out for environmental hazards is usually the best approach, unless you have the stages memorized, of course. In addition to the main story, there's 3 sub-games that can be unlocked. These sub-games are accessed through the options menu, which is not exactly obvious, nor does the game even inform you that you've unlocked anything. Beating each of the sub-games counts towards 100% completion of the game as a whole. After beating the story, you unlock the Boss Butch sub-game. This is just a boss rush mode, and it can be extremely challenging. You fight all of the bosses in a set order, but you're not given any health items or extra lives. It's also single-player only. Beating Boss Butch unlocks a variation of the story's good ending. After achieving 90% completion, you unlock the Super NES MG5 sub-game, which consists of all the guessing games seen in the story mode. You move from game to game, and the goal is to guess correctly 3 times in a row in each game. If you fail once, you automatically move on to the next game. After achieving 99% completion, you unlock the jumping sub-game, which is similar to the jumping minigame seen at the end of stages in the story mode. This time you can pick Kirby or any of the animal friends, and the goal is to jump on a smiley face and avoid tick to advance to the next round. Each round gets more difficult by increasing the amount of ticks and reducing the amount of smiley faces. This sub-game just keeps going until you die, and you need to clear a set amount of rounds to actually beat it. If you jump on tick, you get stabbed and die and must start all over. If you beat all of these sub-games and achieve 100% completion, you unlock the ability to view every cutscene, including all 3 endings. The story goes that one day Kirby and Gooey are fishing. Dark matter appears, destroys the ring surrounding planet Popstar, and possesses all their friends. The story can end in 2 ways, and to see the good ending you need to acquire all of the Heart Stars. Collecting the Heart Star in every stage allows you to battle the true final boss. The game contains 5 levels, each consisting of 6 stages and a boss. The 6th level is unlocked after acquiring all of the Heart Stars. There's no voice acting, the story isn't hard to follow, and it's the gameplay that defines the experience. Kirby's Dreamland 3 is a beautiful game. It has a crayon art style and this shaky line thing going on. The game is vibrant, colorful, and just visually striking, especially for its time. In addition to the incredible art style is excellent parallax scrolling, solid animations, and detailed environments. The sound effects are pretty good and what you would expect from a Kirby game. The music is as well, which means it's fantastic, with plenty of memorable and catchy tunes. On the performance side, the frame rate would dip occasionally, but never hindered the gameplay. Kirby's Dreamland 3 is a great game, we had a lot of fun, but if you're trying to achieve 100% completion or at least see the true ending, it's a bit of a tedious grind. Solving some of the puzzles can either be a chore or a test in frustration, and the solutions aren't always obvious. It may be wise to use a guide to get through some of the later stages. The sub-games being hidden away in the options menu is a questionable decision, and completing these can also be a frustrating or tedious task. The Boss Butch mode is very difficult just due to the lack of health items, but it's arguably the most enjoyable out of the 3. Ultimately, we would recommend Kirby's Dreamland 3 to fans of platformers or the Kirby series in general. It's definitely one of the more challenging Kirby games, and sometimes crosses over into aggravation, but overall, it's enjoyable. Teaming up with a buddy will make the experience a tad easier, but the later stages will seriously test your platforming and dodging skills. The slow-paced nature of the game and puzzle elements kind of bring down the experience in some ways, but if you're a fan of platformers, Kirby's Dreamland 3 is still a must-play. Thanks for tuning in, I hope this video proved helpful. Stick with GameCast for more quality content including the latest gaming news, podcasts, let's plays, and even more reviews. Be sure to check out my channel, Gaming Pastime, for new game reviews released every week. My name is Mike, and I thank you for watching.